Hi, I'm Jillian and welcome to the show. I offer spiritual growth for the rebel soul, guiding you through the labyrinth of your own ascension path. This show is for the rebel souls that challenge the status quo, those that crave authenticity in every single aspect of their lives, that desire to embrace their uniqueness, follow their passions, connect to their soul, and live according to who they truly are, even if that means having the courage to go against the grain or the norms of society. If that's you, my spiritual soul seeker, rebel warrior, then this is the place for you. On this podcast, we speak about everything from spirituality, sexuality, conscious relationships, business, and literally everything in between. So if that's your jam, then stay tuned. And go on, be a rebel and subscribe. You know you want to. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about how do you actually get paid as a psychic medium, a healer, as a spiritual entrepreneur. It's not enough just to have psychic or spiritual experiences or knowing that you're extremely intuitive or that you have healing abilities. It's not enough that you are that go-to friend for everyone, because you are tapped in and you have healing energy and you're actually able to channel wisdom and solutions that you just know, that just drop into your head because you're actually channeling it for higher realms for them. No. It's how do you actually get paid for the gifts that you have? How do you actually get paid? Build a client base, hold sessions, build offers, create an actual income, and make this an actual, like a real professional skill set. Because more and more people are spiritually awakening. They're awakening to their gifts every single day. There are so many amazingly gifted, intuitive people. So very gifted, like so incredibly accurate, like they're picking up things, they're having dreams, they're sensing people, they're reading energy so naturally. These are their soul gifts. These are the gifts that they're meant to use to be of expansion to the collective. And whilst these are natural abilities and gifts that they're continually awakening in the world right now, these people aren't making money. And it's not usually because they're not good enough. It's just a difference really between the people that I've seen that are super gifted. There's a huge disparity between those people that are naturally gifted and naturally have these abilities than actually being skilled, then becoming a professional. Like those are three different stages, three completely different stages. And it's really important to have that distinction, because having a talent, having a natural ability is definitely not the same thing as having a skill, right? And having a skill is also not the same thing as having a professional capacity. Right? And that applies everywhere, right? Like, oh my God, think about sports, right? Someone can be naturally athletic, right? But it doesn't automatically make them a professional athlete, right? That takes training, it takes skill, it takes so many different things. Think about singing, right? Someone can have the most beautiful, naturally gorgeous singing voice. But again, that doesn't make them concert ready. That doesn't make them someone that's going to sell out stadiums. Think about business, right? Someone can have like the most brilliant, innovative ideas, and there's so many people that have the most amazing ideas. Like if those ideas were added to skill and professional capacity, oh my God, the world would be such an amazing place. But it doesn't always work like that, right? Someone could have all these brilliant ideas, and I've seen it so much. Like I've worked with so many entrepreneurs in both of my careers that I've had to date. Some of the most intellectual, the most inspiring, creative people that have these amazing, brilliant ideas that could actually really change the world in so many ways, but that actually doesn't automatically make them profitable, right? And psychic work is exactly the same. You know, this is where I see any aspiring spiritual business owner, spiritual entrepreneur, you can get really stuck in your path because you could just start to think, okay, well, if I'm gifted enough, then people are going to come, people are going to pay me, I can build a business, like I can live my life being guided by doing the work that really like fulfills me, by doing my soul work. And that's not the case, right? There's so many steps to it, of course. You know, and if you're going to do this work, if you're a healer, a psychic, a medium, you know, an intuitive coach, whatever you are, right? People are going to pay you, firstly, for giving them clarity. They're going to pay you for trust. They're going to pay you for like a result, an outcome that they want. People are going to come and pay you for the experience of being held by someone that knows what they're fucking doing. And that is what we're going to be talking about today. So this is where, like, if you know that you're meant to step into spiritual work and do it professionally, get paid for it, this is where we need to make the distinction from like you knowing that you're gifted, you knowing you're intuitive, you knowing that you're like getting things, that you're getting information. So how do you go from there to then knowing that you can confidently charge for these gifts to then building a successful income, a business that creates impact in the world, right? Where you're living your dharma, that you are doing the thing that you love and you're helping people. So this is what I'm going to break down into stages, right? Because again, getting paid as a psychic or a medium or as a healer or spiritual coach, again, wherever category you fall into, it's a progression. It is not an overnight leap. And as someone that's built and scaled 2 businesses so far in my life, I know what it takes to build a business, to get clients, to create authority, to build a brand, to develop skills, to hire, to become successful in your given industry, in your given niche. I've done it twice. You know, one sure was in a very 3D way, let's say, and now in a very 5D way. And, you know, both of my businesses centered around people, around the skill sets, around business, around growth. So I know what it takes to be gifted, to turning those into actual tangible skills and then into a profitable vocation. So part 1, first things first. Just because you are intuitive, you've studied healing, you've studied coaching, like you have these gifts, right? You've already opened them, like this is a natural part of who you are, right? You are gifted. Being able to receive intuitive information is only one part of the coin when it comes to these stages, right? Having your gifts open, your clairs open, your communication with spirit, your ability to receive information, that's amazing, right? But that's just the start of things, right? Being a channel, being a conduit for healing, that's amazing. That's a gift, that's a talent, right? But if you want to get paid, if you want to get clients, if you want to have a business, if you want to start doing this work, then you have to develop many other skills. Because again, talent and skills are 2 different things. And again, my whole career of 11 years was based on skills, was based on talent, right? It was based on business. It was based on stepping into roles. It was jobs. It was all of these things in a very, very specific niche, and it's just filtered through to the work that I now do. So if you want to turn your like a gift, your talent, let's say, into a skill, into getting paid, into a profession, into a business, the skills that you need to learn are delivery, because delivery is everything, interpretation, because obviously your interpretation is going to define how you show up in a session, how you read for a client, how you tune into the energy, how you channel whatever it is that you're doing. Structure is everything. Holding the client is everything. And discernment is everything. Discernment is one of the biggest things that you're going to have to navigate time and time again when you step into this work, okay? So let me give you an example. Imagine someone comes to you for, let's say, a relationship reading, okay? And you're starting to pick up some information. You're picking up like sadness or like this distance feeling, this avoidance energy. Okay, cool, great information. But then what, right? Can you interpret that? Can you explain that? Can you hold the emotional complexity of what that is? Are you asking the right questions? Can you guide that session, that person from A to B? Can you stay regulated if they start crying in front of you? Because this does happen, right? You know, when you are doing a healing or a reading, or you're holding anyone, coaching them, guiding them through something, so much can come up for people, right? So this stuff absolutely happens. You know, do you have the ability to stay clear and not spiral into your head? Say you are doing a reading, right, and a client doesn't resonate with what you're saying, or they're just not able to validate what you're saying. They say no, they push back. Can you stay clear? Can you not start doubting yourself? Can you not start spiraling into your head and being like, oh, can you do that, right? What if spirit like just starts to change the direction mid-read? What if you're doing a mediumship reading and there's like a few different spirits that are trying to come through, right? Can you stay connected with the task at hand when all these things can and absolutely will happen? Because it will happen, trust me, we've all been there. And if you can do that, those are skills. Those are you've developed a skill set around these specific things that are going to be part of you taking your gifts into the next level, right? It's not just about gifting. And again, this is why you have so many talented people, so many gifted people that are incredibly psychic, or incredible healers, or incredible coaches, or, you know, meant to be incredible teachers, but they struggle when it comes to doing it professionally. Again, because a lot of people can maybe try and start monetizing their raw ability, but raw ability is raw ability, right? It's not skill. It's not professionalism. It's going to need refining. And again, as I mentioned before, stepping into my spiritual work and creating this business myself, before I did that, I owned a digital media marketing and technology recruitment company that I moved to the other side of the world and built and scaled from scratch to over 7 figures over seven and a half years, right? I built a whole team, you know, built a whole brand, worked across the whole of APAC. It was a global business. I saw the raw ability of so many people over, you know, the 11 years that I actually spent in that industry, working globally, working in London, Europe, the States, APAC. I did this work globally. I worked with some of the most innovative brands in the world, the most forward-thinking, smart people. I have worked with some of the most talented people that had all the potential in the world, but no skill, right? Because they didn't have the tenure. They hadn't built the skill set in a role or in the job or the area of expertise that they either wanted to work in, or that, for example, one of my clients needed someone in, right? I've hired whole teams. I've hired many different teams over my tenure, right? Like built teams from scratch. That was my thing. That had just raw talent, raw enthusiasm, but didn't have the skill set to back it up, right? So I have hired so many people that just had raw talent and soft skills that I could work with, because I could train them, right? I could train them to build the skill that they needed to become good at the job that I wanted to eventually hire them for, right? So I've seen it all, right? But underneath it all was really, when we look at it from like this lens, right? You have talent and ability, you have potential, you have skill set, then you have authority, and then you have a level of professionalism. And this is the same thing, right? All of my clients, and I worked with a lot of entrepreneurs that had built businesses, right? Built technology businesses, built media businesses, and they came from just like I did, right? Like you have like a natural talent or ability or interest, and you develop that into skills, and then you develop that into a level of professionalism where then you use that to launch pad and build your own business, right? Like there's a sequence to it. It can be very hard just to go from like raw ability to then building and scaling business. Like again, I've scaled and built very successful business twice over, and I've seen experienced many things in this journey when it comes to business and skill set and all of the above. So taking it a step further, right, when it comes to skill set and then stepping into this work professionally, right? One of the things that you have to think about, if you're like, I know that this is what I want to do, I know that I'm meant to, get paid, have this as a job, build a business from these skills that I have: my energy healing, my past life regression, my psychic abilities, my mediumship abilities, whatever your core things are that you're here to do, right? So let's have a think about it, right? The first thing you need to think about is like, what am I actually offering? This was one of the biggest things, honestly, when I first started this business. I was like, okay, I have all of these trainings, all these certifications under my belt, like I can do so many things, but what am I offering and how do I offer it, right? It's a huge part of the start of taking it into a professional lens, okay? Because saying that you're psychic or you're a psychic, that is so fucking broad, right? And from my experience, broad isn't the thing that's going to sell, right? Because people want clarity, people want specificity and tangibility, and that's why people talk about niching down all the time. So, and I've got like, there's a few ways that we can look at niching, right? And again, it's such an individual thing according to your soul's blueprint, your path, how you're meant to share, what you're meant to share. There's really not a one size fits all. So that's why I love to work with my business clients, because they're really here to share something unique, especially within their spiritual business, right? They're not meant to do it. They're not meant to create business the way that everyone else is creating it. They have their own thing. They have their own soul gifts, their own technology, their own way of doing things. But also along the way, you have to still continue to build skill. Even though I had built a very successful 7-figure business previously, when I moved into my spiritual business and created an online business, a service-based business that was very, very different from the business that I had initially, I had to build so many other skills. Yes, I understood digital media marketing technology, but I wasn't hands-on doing it, right? I was in a space and I had a team that was recruiting for people that did those jobs into our clients, into companies, right? So I had to understand the top line of a lot of these skill sets, but I wasn't hands-on doing it. And obviously by that point as well, I was a little bit hands-off because I had teams to do certain things in certain areas for me too. So when I was building my spiritual business now, I had to go in at the grassroots and learn so much: content writing, marketing, sales strategy, launches, everything I had to learn because I was doing it all. And this is the thing, right? If you want to have a successful business or create a spiritual business like online, like I have, there's so many skill sets that you have to learn, right? If you don't have them, you're going to have to learn them. And this is why investing in people that have done it successfully, have invested in themselves to learn and refine their skills at every level. That's what you need to do. In order to create successful business, you have to do it. It's a constant evolution. It's a constant investment in yourself. And that's really what I looked at. It's like, okay, what areas do I have skill set in and what areas do I not? How do I then build that? Where do I go to? Where do I invest in? How do I learn this, right? And you will continue to learn. It's like the more that you grow, the more that you hold, you will have to continually refine and invest in your skills in general, right? In business skills, in marketing skills, in your actual like skills around your own gifts and what you're here to do. You will constantly be investing in that, right? And if that's not something that you are able nor willing to do, then you're not here to have a business, period, right? And because business isn't easy, right? You're going to go through the roller coasters of it all. But if you know that you're meant to do this, then it is one of the most rewarding things and one of the most challenging things, but it is here for your bigger spiritual evolution, because you are here to use your gift. You are here to help people. You are here to live a life aligned with your soul and create impact and abundance as you do that. So again, niching down. Okay, so again, people need clarity. People need specificity, right? So we don't want to go broad when we're thinking about, okay, what is it that I do? I have psychic and mediumship gifts, let's say. So what about that, right? What are people looking for? What are people searching for online? What's the thing that people are going to be attracted to that you can do? So are you a psychic reader? Are you a medium? Are you an Akashic reader? Are you an energy reader? Are you a relationship reader? A business intuitive? Are you a past life reader? Are you an energy healer? Are you an inner child intuitive coach? Are you a spiritual teacher on a certain niche? Are you a manifestation teacher? Like, what is your thing? And again, I don't want you to get so hooked into this, especially at the start, because this will evolve and grow. Your wording, how you describe yourself and what you do, that will grow and change as you continue to grow and change, and as your business continues to grow and change. But we just need to start somewhere, and it will. Do you know how many times I've changed my things as I've changed and grown? My wording, my website, my sales pages, like I have changed it and altered it so much because I go through different phases of my evolution and growth, I swear, every 3 months, right? So this is something you need to be aware of. What you have at the start doesn't determine what it's always going to be. So, you know, if you have like perfectionism tendencies, throw them out the window, because it's an evolution. It's not perfectionism, right? So what is it that you actually do, right? And listen, if you were like me when you're figuring all out, I was like, but I do everything, you know, and I did so many things. But I just wanted to paint what's your strongest entry point at this stage, okay? Because in order for your clients to come to you and pay you, they need language that they understand, that they are looking for, that sounds like is going to solve a problem that they have or create a result that they want. It has to be tangible and specific language, okay? So for example, you might say something like, I channel and do intuitive soul work. Okay, I channel and I do intuitive soul work. What the fuck does that mean? That might make some sense to you as a practitioner, but to your client, that's so general. What does that mean? What do you channel? What is soul work? How is that going to help my problem? Like, where are we talking about my problem, or the thing that I want, or the thing that I need? It's so vague. But if you said, I help people understand their relationship patterns through psychic insight, now we're getting somewhere, because that's really clear, right? That's very specific. That language, that is super Bible. And people will get that and they'll be like, oh my God, that's what I need. My relationships are shit. You know, you're speaking to the exact problem that's having the relationships, you know, like having problems in the relationships, right? And then your USP and how you solve that for them is through your psychic insight, is through your skills within the psychic sphere. That's the distinction, right? That's important, because, you know, you're not solving the problem in the relationships through coaching or counseling. You're solving it through being psychic. That is a very specific skill that you sell. That is your speciality. And that is going to appeal to your ideal client. That is your USP, right? That is your unique selling point. So maybe another example. Okay, so say you lean more on the psychic mediumship side, right? You could say, I connect with loved ones in spirit to bring through evidence and healing messages. Again, super clear and specific. Again, very Bible for the person who has had someone pass and they want to know that it is them for certain that's coming through to them. So they want validation, they want evidence that it's, you know, it's their nonna or their mom or their best friend that's died. They want to know that that's that person coming through. And for a lot of people that have lost a loved one, they're looking for healing, right? Because they're grieving. It's a sad, painful experience to go through when you lose someone. So healing messages, like, that's appealing, right? I would want that. If someone close to me had passed, I would want to know that they are really communicating through me and they're coming through with healing messages, because I need healing at that point, right? Or say you're drawn to work with business owners, right? Say you come from a background of business like me, and then you've opened up your intuitive gifts and you're like really called to help people with business, because you're like, I can really merge my two experiences and help people with by the insights that I can see around helping them with their business, right? So you could say something like, I read and clear energetic blocks affecting your business growth. Okay, specificity. It builds trust. It sells. Because again, clients aren't going to be buying from the word psychic. They're looking for something specific and they're buying solutions to their problems. So if someone is like struggling in their business, say they have a business and they can't make money, they're struggling with their offers, they're struggling with their content, whatever it is, they have a business, it's very important for them for their business to grow. okay, I need this person, right? Like, you need to tell me what's actually happening with my business, why it's not going the way that I want, and I want it to be cleared. I want a solution to it. I need this to move, okay? You've given them the result that they want, and that's why that's going to sell. Okay, so part 3. I've spoken about this before, but you need a skill set, right? Not just a gift. You need a skill set if you want to get paid for the work that you're here to do. For the gift that you're here to share, you need skill set around it. You need to build a skill in the thing that you want to do. So what do I mean, right? If you're a psychic medium, for example, right, you need to build your ability to read. You need to build that skill. It's a reading skill. You need to build your interpretation skill. How do I interpret what's actually coming through? You need to build your holding skill. How do I hold a client in moments of vulnerability? How do I hold and structure a session from end to end? You need communication skill. How do I communicate this? If something comes through that I think is a bit edgy from spirit, do I say that? Do I hold it back? Do I water it down? Can I build rapport with this client so they feel safe and connected to me? Or is it like a really uncomfortable session, right? You have to build the skill of discernment, right? Discerning, okay, who am I actually speaking to? Is this an important information to share? Am I actually speaking to said this or this? What is the energy that I'm reading? Is this a client that I should be working with? All of these things, it's all discernment. You need to develop the boundary skill. You need to have strong energetic boundaries because you need to protect your energy. You need to protect your time. You need to protect your gift in all different ways, right? From overworking, from overgiving, from client demands, from spirit self, all of it. And you also need like a session management skill, right? Again, it's so easy when you're a natural healer and a psychic, you want to overgive, you're a people pleaser, all those things. So you need to make sure that you have good skills around management. It's 60 minutes, it doesn't run over. You have the confidence to close it down when it needs to close down. Otherwise, you're going to be like running late for the next client and the next client. And it's just, all of these things are skills. All of these things, just because you have a gift doesn't mean that you have a skill in all of these things to do it professionally. So again, this is why you have to build the skill, okay? So let's break it down for you, right? Skill 1 is about receiving. Can you receive psychic or spirit information? Can you receive those messages clearly? Can you receive them consistently? Because again, if people are going to pay you for this service, then you're gonna have to, right? Like, can you actually identify fully what it is you're receiving? Do you see, do you feel, do you hear, do you know, do you do all of the above? Because again, your psychic language is important in developing your gifts into usable skills, And like I say, like this is really more the development stage and the refinement stage, actually. Like, if you're clairsentient and you keep trying to force your clairvoyance, then of course you're going to doubt yourself, right? So again, knowing your strongest channels, starting to work with them, you're going to really refine them, because your gift isn't going to show up the same as everyone else's. So like the way that you receive is going to be key, right? Like, this is key for you to develop your gifts and refine your gifts so that then you can use your gifts and then get paid for your gifts. And then 2, like I said, interpretation, right? Because again, when you can interpret the symbols, the impressions, the feelings that you're getting into tangible information, that is the key to be able to charge for your gifts, right? Like, if you're reading for someone and you see a red balloon, okay, well, what the fuck does that mean? Is it about learning the skill of investigation? Do you have to learn the skill of how to ask questions to get more information, to get the meanings of the symbols or impressions that you get? Okay, so like, okay, what does the red mean? Is it love? Is it anger? Is it blood? Is it celebration? Who held the balloon? Is it a child? Is it an adult? Is it a memory? Is it loss? Is it a birthday? Is it a death? Spirit communication is layered, so you need to build the skill and learn how to unpack the impressions that you're receiving. Again, it's a skill, it's refinement. Then skill 3 is structure. Can you structure a reading end to end? Because again, a messy reading, a messy experience is going to create really nervous clients, and none of that's going to be for you or them. This is why you need to learn the skill of, how do I structure a reading well? How do I do that? How do I build rapport? How do I automatically create trust and authority That is good structure. So again, you've got to make sure that your energy is protected, grounded, connected, cleared before you start any kind of sessions. You do the opening, you set the intention, you focus on the session, you connect to the energy, you gather the evidence, you validate, you go into more depth, you go into, what's underneath this, you get the guidance, what does the client need? Then you go to the closure, you give time for integration. Like all of that sequence, the structure of it, that's going to create a professional experience for a client, right? And I know at the start, like, when you first start doing this, some people have their eyes closed when they're doing readings. Some people don't even look at the client. They're looking like over to the left. It's like important to, again, refine your skills to then be able to show up professionally and get paid for it, right? It's stages. And then that's why you've got to practice. That's why you have to practice before you price anything out, right? Because when you decide that you want to charge, it's so easy when some people are like, oh, I just want to charge something now, right? And they kind of make it about the money. And listen, I understand. But if you ask yourself honestly for where you're at right now, okay, would I pay me? Not because you're unworthy of any kind of payment. Oh my God, not at all. It's just being honest about your skill level. Would you pay yourself for what you are currently able to deliver? Okay. And if the answer is no, then that's kind of all the information that you need. So this is why you absolutely need to practice first, right? Read for friends, read for strangers, like your co-workers, read in development circles, make sure that you're reading consistently, not just like once a month, but regularly, because when you build the reps, when you do the repetition, it's going to help you build your confidence so much. And again, confidence is what's going to create this clear channel, because when you're confident, you're not doubting yourself. And again, knowing energy, you need to have a clear channel for information to come through, and trust me, honestly, the first time that you read for someone, you're going to be managing so many things at once. You're going to have your own nerves. You're going to be worrying if you're going to pick up anything at all. You're going to be doubting yourself if you are going to be good or if you get anything wrong. You are going to feel the pressure of doing a good job. You're going to have like an automatic expectation of like, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? What are they going to say? All of that will come up, not just in your first reading, but for many readings that you do. But then when you get to like number 50, let's say, you've built the confidence, right? Because you've done that because you've had the experience, right? You've been validated time and time again. And that is literally the only way to build it, okay? And then you really start to learn, oh my God, I can do this, right? Like what's coming through is right. It's really connecting to people. I've had insane results. I can't believe like the stuff that's come through is just like fucking on point. This feels so good. Like you can see how you're helping people. Like it's such a buzz, I can't even explain. And then boom, it becomes second nature. And you're like, oh, I'm in it now. It's like anything, right? It's like anything that you start, you're not automatically amazing at it. You might be quite like good at it to start with, but not enough that you can go and like do it professionally. That takes time and experience before that happens. And then we go into just knowing that your first paid sessions, after you've done all the practice, after you've done all the free sessions, all of that stuff, really build up your confidence. Your first paid sessions don't have to be like premium, okay? And again, this is where like a lot of people go wrong. They're like, oh, I see people doing 60-minute readings and da da da. No, it doesn't have to be that. It's like it just needs to be clean, simple, something easy for you. So I don't know, start with like a 20-minute read or a 30-minute read. Maybe start offering readings on a focused topic or like a specific outcome. For example, you could offer a 30-minute relationship energy reading, right? That's simple, that's easy to understand. And what you'll find is there's actually a lot less pressure because you know what you're going to be looking for, okay? Some of the nerves, from what I realized, like going through this whole process myself many years ago, some of the nerves in the early days, they're going to come because you actually don't know what's going to come up with a new client. When a client, turns on their Zoom and shows up, you don't know what they're going to be asking about. You don't know what they want to talk about. You don't know what's going to come through. It's like, it's kind of the unknown. So if you have something that's like a specific reading on a specific thing, it already kind of takes a bit of pressure of the unknown out, because you're going to be focusing on this specific thing, you know? Or like, for example, you could offer a 20-minute spirit guide clarity reading, right? Again, very tangible, very specific, simple and clear. And then again, for the early stage paid readings, the goal for you is absolutely, it's not about making the most amount of money that you can. It's really just about getting proof, okay? Proof for yourself, proof for your sitter, because proof builds momentum, and the momentum is going to build your confidence. And then eventually that's going to build your business, right? So again, it's just about getting proof. You've already had proof by doing free readings. Now it's like, oh, can I hold the pressure of getting a paid reading and also building the proof and the validation and the evidence? And then again, it's just going to build and build and build. And then this is where then you get social proof. This is where you can get testimonials, because that, like, social proof 100% matters in this day and age, with like online reviews for nearly every single business. And this is how a lot of people shop, through recommendations and reviews. This is so, so key, you know, especially in this kind of work, like psychic work, right? Or energy healing work. It's not like, you know, the outcomes aren't like so specific and tangible a lot of the times. This is why finding language for it can be quite difficult for a lot of people that are creating businesses in this industry, because it's not like, you know, a weight loss coach, lose 10 kilos in 3 months, right? That's a very tangible and specific, touchable goal. Whereas like the psychic development stuff, or the psychic work, or the energy healing work, it's less tangibility and sometimes the outcomes and the results. So this is why getting proof, social proof and testimonials from the horse's mouth of the people that have worked with you is so amazing and so big, because trust is everything again in how we buy. And you know, people are nervous, especially when it comes to this kind of work. They want to know, okay, is this person legit? Are they accurate? So building and getting testimonials from people that you've done readings for is going to help more people buy and trust them. So collect the fucking testimonials, you know? After every session that you do, ask them to do a testimonial, ask them to write a review, or even in the session afterwards, say, hey, what stood out for you? What shifted for you? What landed for you? What was really accurate? What really stood out for you? And again, that's going to build trust with your audience at that early stage, you know, especially if you don't have a big following, you don't have loads of offers, you're not well known. This is what builds trust, and therefore is going to build conversion for you, you know? Like I said, this is how businesses are built in this day and age. Every single e-commerce or service-based company has some level of review or testimonial piece to their business. You can just look at your own life, right? Do you look up reviews before you buy a product? Do you buy something because your best mate or your coworker recommended it? Yes, absolutely you have. So again, this is why this is the easiest thing as part of your strategy. Before you even build a website, or you invest in marketing or any of that stuff, you can do free readings and get testimonials. That is some of the strongest marketing material you just got for free right there and then. So this is why it kind of really needs to be a massive part of your first strategy, to be honest. And also it's really good as well, like when you actually read or reflect on what someone has said about your readings, it actually puts a lot of things into perspective for you, and it helps you to also see the impact that you've made in your clients. And also you might notice that they say a very similar thing, or they focus on a very similar aspect of their experience with you, and that is something that you become really well known for, or something that you can build out offers around later on in your business. So yeah, I found it so useful to know what people think about me or said about me or their experience with me. I learned so much about myself and about what I'm really here for. So get testimonials, guys. Okay, so on to part 7 now. Following on from the testimonials as part of your marketing strategy, but if you want to get paid, if you want to build a business by doing this work, you need to build a skill. in marketing and content, because this is how people are going to find you, okay? Marketing is such an important part of building your spiritual business, because if nobody knows what you do, then nobody is going to book with you. And being visible matters so much. And listen, visibility wounds are so very real. The fear of being seen is so very real. The fear of judgment is so very real. But content is what builds business. So I so encourage you to start building a presence online. I suggest you pick a social platform, pick something that resonates with you, and just start showing up there. You know, speaking or teaching or demoing something on that platform, publicly, live if you want to go live, that relates to your niche. You know, if you do readings, do live readings, or obviously you can just record videos of readings. Show people what you do or how you do it. Because again, teaching is going to demonstrate your skill, and that's going to build trust. It's going to build authority. People seeing what you do and that you're good at what you do, it's going to resonate with them. And they're like, oh my God, I need this reading. That reading just resonated with me. You know, the content that you do in marketing, it should solve like micro problems. It shouldn't just be to inspire people. So again, having a diverse content strategy is really, really key. And I don't want to overwhelm you or bombard you with like marketing speak to start with. It just like, let's just start small, right? And look at your marketing like an experiment. It's just an experiment to collect data, to see what's working, to see what's not, to see what you enjoy. And that just takes time, right? So, but you just have to start somewhere. Pick a platform, pick a method on how you want to share on that platform that resonates with you, and start showing up. You know, for example, if you hate Facebook and never go on it, don't pick Facebook. If you love talking and riffing, then maybe create a podcast. If you really enjoy content writing, then maybe do something that's more in like a written format, like blogs, or like Substack or something like that. You know, it's a good place to start. And listen, I know, like at the start, getting your face on camera and doing like a talking reel, like a face to camera reel, I know that is daunting as hell for all of you guys, for so many people, right? Like if you've not come from that environment, like if you haven't worked in a business where you've had to do anything like that, that's something that's so new. And especially when it comes to psychic work, to spiritual work, so many spiritual entrepreneurs have massive persecution wounds, massive past life wounds, massive visibility wounds that can absolutely keep you in their freeze and stop you from showing up online or showing up visible. And this is where some deeper healing needs to happen. This is where we need to go a little bit deeper onto what's going on and why you're not showing up, and creating a strategy that works for you. Because again, it's not a one size fits all. And then when you start to put your offers out there, it has to make sense, okay? So we're going to go into offers now, because it's so easy at the start, not even at the start, even along your journey of your business, right? To create, let's say, messy offers, right? Maybe you're offering 10 different things, no clarity on the differentiation, no pathway into an evolution for a client. So what I suggest, and again, not to overwhelm you at the start, but this is just something to think about for longer term, right? You want to create an offer ladder, right? And it's something that I've created now, right? It's an offer ladder. So you want to have an entry offer. You want to have a core offer. You want to have an advanced offer. You know, so at the start, for example, you could offer a mini reading, right? 15, 20, 30 minutes, a mini reading. Then you can offer a full reading, 45, 60 minutes. Then if you do healing, for example, you could offer a deep healing session for like 60 or 90 minutes. That's what I did. That's how I started, right? It just gives different entry points for different price points, for different investment points, right? Then you can grow into something a little bit bigger, like a coaching container, you know, and that could be like 3 months or a month, for example, because again, that creates progression. And creating a ladder like this is going to help people stay longer in your world, where they benefit, one, from your skills. They don't just book once and then bounce and you never see them again. they stay in your ecosystem, you know, and that way you can really offer a path for your ideal client to, one, go deeper with you and build more of like long-term access and grow with you. And then two, you build a revenue stream for the people that already resonate with your work. You know, you're creating an ongoing revenue stream from your ideal client, right? That's what you want. That's the next step of business maturity. And then again, if you go into group programs or creating programs, that's again just creating a funnel and a pathway. But I always say start with like one-on-ones. Like you want to build your craft and get paid for your one-on-ones. And then, you know, if you're meant to build something that's a group container or a membership or a retreat or, you know, something else, then that will follow suit pretty much. Okay. Then we go on to pricing. And listen, pricing is a hairy one because it really does scare the shit out of so many spiritually led people, but it shouldn't, right? And as someone who's negotiated terms and contracts and salaries and sales and commissions on a daily basis for years, it's just part of the job, right? And it's like the natural give and take for providing a service and being the receiver of a service. And the price that you're going to start with is really going to be based on a few things, right? It's going to be based on your skill, your capacity, your depth, and of course the demand, right? The demand of the industry, the demand of who you've got coming through, the investment that you've made, and all these other aspects of your business, right? And I always say to my clients who are starting to charge that I wouldn't say charge the world at the very start. Just charge something that feels good for you right now. And again, as you build your brand, as you build your confidence, as you build your skill set, you can change it, right? It's not always going to stay the same, you know, and then you'll know when you start to feel resistance about your price that you're charging. That's when it needs to change. You know, the worst thing that you can do is compare yourself to other people. You know, so what if so-and-so from the industry is charging $900 for a reading, right? Like, that's not your business. You know, maybe if they've been in the industry for 15 years, maybe they've built their tenure, maybe they have huge demand for what they do, right? That's not you right now. And if that's not what's comfortable for you right now, then it's not for you, right? And again, I always just say, look, just start small, just start comfortable. Even if you only get paid a small amount, even if it's just for your first 2 readings, that's great. You can change it, you know? And also don't get yourself into a fantasy land trying to charge an arm and a leg for a service that, one, you haven't even validated yet, just because someone else in the industry is, right? If you don't have the reps, you don't have the brand, then don't do it, right? Because you'll just be like, oh my God, why isn't anyone booking? And then you've got all this pressure, or you've got pressure that you have to deliver if you've charged someone loads of money. Just don't do it. It has to stay something that's comfortable, and don't be like, oh my God, that's so low, you know, like I'm not valuing myself. It's like that you can just, even if you just do it for the first one, see how you feel, and you're like, okay, that was too low, I need to put it up. Sweet, okay, you've just experienced that. You can put it up. It's not always going to stay the same, remember? So, oh my God, I remember actually, so when I was first starting this business, there was a woman that I was connected to on Facebook somehow, right? And funny story. So this is again where strategy is not for everyone, right? There's not a one size that fits all for spiritual entrepreneurs. So when I was first building my business, I didn't use Facebook at all, right? For work or for my marketing or for my life. It was just not a platform that I resonated with. But at the start, I actually ended up working with this business coach through a referral. And I worked with him for like 3 months or something. And he was like, you need to be on Facebook. You need to be, you know, posting this content this amount of times. You need to be direct messaging people X, Y, and Z. Okay. And I'm like, I don't even use Facebook. I don't even like it. But I was like, okay, listen, I'll listen to you. I'll follow your strategy. I'd built a very successful recruitment business, but I hadn't built an online business, right? So I'm like, crack on. Let's listen to you. And I soon found out that was a very antiquated one-size-fits-all strategy. It wasn't aligned with what I was supposed to do. It wasn't aligned with my energy at all. I learned that the hard way. Well, not the hard way. My intuition was like, this is bullshit. Fuck this off, which I did. And this is the thing with business. Like I said, every spiritual business, we are all meant to do things so uniquely. There is literally no one size fits all. And you need to trust your intuition when, how and when and where you're supposed to be sharing your gifts online. What is your content and marketing strategy? It's not going to be the same for everyone, right? It's going to be unique to you. Anyway, back to the story. I digress. So for some reason, I actually ended up getting loads of coaches and other healers and people that were also probably following the same shit Facebook marketing strategy. And they were sliding into my DMs, like unsolicited DMs saying, oh, I'm doing this retreat or I'm doing this is going to be for you. And I'm like, that's how I felt. I was like, how do you know this is for me? You don't know me. You have no idea. You haven't, this is just like a blanket DM that they've probably sent to everyone on automation. And I'm just like, I can't handle that. I'm just like a cold DM, like never spoken to me in their life. Anyway, so I saw this woman who, I don't know, she was saying she was a healer or a coach or something, right? And she didn't have a brand, or if it did, it didn't look polished, right? From what I saw visually on Facebook, it didn't look like it was a polished brand. And she was offering some kind of container, some kind of like trauma healing container or something like that. And I remember thinking it was a very short container for the price. And it was like, I don't know, 1 week or a month or 90 days. It was something ridiculous anyway. And she was asking, listen to this, she was asking $10,000 for this. And I remember thinking, what the fuck? Like, who is going to pay you for something that, one, you can't even articulate, you have bad branding and marketing, it doesn't look professional at all. I couldn't see another presence apart from on Facebook. You're asking for 10K for this seemingly transformational healing in this very short container space. And it was so obvious to me in that moment that the skill didn't match the price, right? Like zero investment into the building of other skills that you need for a successful business. Again, the marketing, the branding, like so many other things. She didn't have it. And this is not about poo-pooing anyone else's business, not all. Like I'm not in the habit of doing that. It was just for me a big learning experience. It was a very, very clear observation about the price that you're asking for and how it has to be in congruence with what stage you're at, who you are, what skills you've acquired, what you've invested in. You know, so I don't expect you to at the start be asking for 10K straight out the gate, right? But I also want you to know that you're not going to be, you're just not going to be undercharging forever, right? So like I said, undercharging, if you continue to undercharge and keep going with your undercharging, you're going to start to feel resentment. And that's when you know it needs to change, right? Because again, you're going to eventually over time know what energy, what investment, what you've invested, what sessions take, how much time and effort you've put into these products or these services or an individual session or whatever it is. It has to match what you're charging, right? And you will soon know if it is in alignment because you're going to feel it. And then at the same time, overcharging like this lady, if you start doing that too early, it's just going to create this insane pressure and nobody's going to book with you, right? So I'm just saying, find the happy middle, right? And just ask yourself, right? What actually feels fair for my current skill? And then just grow from there. You know, if you're at the beginning, you're doing a reading or a session, I don't know, start with like 50 to 150 bucks. Then as you go into more immediate stage, you can charge more, right? You can charge 150, 300 bucks. And then maybe as you go into like a more advanced stage in your craft and in your business, maybe you charge, 300 and above. Again, then longer containers, you can charge higher. It really, what you're going to find is your price builds with your capacity, with your skill. It's just going to build over time. That's just how it works. So we have price, we have marketing, we have testimonials, we have all this stuff. So another part of the job, another skill set that's part of the job is being able to hold someone emotionally. And I mentioned this earlier because clients will cry. They will grieve. They will project onto you. They will cling to something you've said or you didn't say. They could totally resist your guidance. They could stay in victim mode. they literally, like, so many things can happen when you're dealing with people, when you're dealing with clients, right? They're going through any shifts, any transformation. When you're holding space for someone, so much can happen. So the question is, and this is again a skill that you're going to have to build, can you stay fully grounded no matter what is thrown at you, no matter what reaction someone has, no matter what projection someone has? Can you stay fully grounded and in your own authority? Can you hold the emotional field that is inevitably going to come up when when someone's going fucking through it? Can you hold that for someone? Can you do that without spiraling, without trying to rescue them, without over-giving, without pandering to their victim, right? Because these are all going to be experiences that it may happen to you, and more likely it will. So again, this is why you have to continue to do the inner work on yourself and build that resilience. Is really important, because again, a client comes to be held, and if they don't feel held and safe in your energy, then it's gonna be a fuck show. But I'm not trying to scare you. I'm a realist here, right? I'm just giving you real practical things to think about and tools and understanding as you move through this journey, right? And if you're meant to do this, none of this is going to scare you, right? You're going to be like, okay, thank you for the awareness, right? Like, this is how it's going to be. I know it's not going to be easy, but I know this is what I'm meant to do, right? And you'll do it anyway. And all of this is why you need so good boundaries, right? Like, boundaries are going to make you so good if you step into this work. And boundaries is going to be a theme that is going to keep coming up as you evolve as a person, as a soul, in your relationships, in your business, in your practice, because boundaries are going to protect everything, right? Your channel, your guidance, your authority, your energy. So make sure that you consistently work on them, because again, as natural healers, I know how easy it is to overextend yourself or say yes to someone, go over and above. Like, your reading is supposed to be 60 minutes and you go for an hour and a half, right? And listen, I've been there. I did all of it. I did all of it in my early days, So some examples for you around boundaries and things to look out for are, I learned this, but you shouldn't be reading for everyone. You shouldn't be doing sessions for everyone, right? You have to have discernment and know who is for you and who is not for you, who you're meant to work with and who you're not meant to work with, right? You will over time learn the clients that are aligned for you and are not aligned for you. You will have clients that are going to make problems for you and clients that are just fucking magic. But this is all learning, it's all lessons for you, because again, this is one of the biggest things that if you have a spiritual business, you will be evolving and going through cycles and soul lessons more than the average Joe, period. Don't overgive your time or your energy. Just don't do it. Don't consistently do free readings, right? Just build the skill, move to get paid when you feel ready. Don't sit there online and answer people's DMs 24/7, right? Don't answer every single question someone has for you. I mean, like, when you grow or you get to a certain size online, you're not going to be able to physically do that anyway, but maybe use it as content, right? This is what I do. It's like, if someone asks me a private DM, I will then use that as content, right? Like, I'll create it for content and then everyone can have the answer. Don't become emotionally available for your clients 24/7. You need to have some level of boundaries and maybe certain times or days that you explain to your clients that you're going to be dealing with inquiries or responding to their DMs, and look, there's always going to be flexibility with it, right? But over time, you're going to realize how you work best. Do you work best with certain structure? Are you a bit more flexible? But yeah, make sure that you communicate that with your clients, so everything is very, very clear around what your boundaries, what can and can't happen. Because you are in charge, right? No one else is in charge. And you will find, if you have loose or bad boundaries, you will be tested time and time again until you get better ones. And again, just make sure you protect your energy, make sure you protect your business, make sure you protect your time. Key. Okay. Now, niching down. We spoke about this a little bit earlier, but it kind of does matter, okay? And look, it might take a little bit of time to figure it out, but it's okay. You don't need to niche or totally understand everything right now. So have a think about right now, what are you the strongest in? What is it that you enjoy? Is it helping people with their relationships? Is it helping people understand what their deeper purpose is? Is it helping people to connect to spirit, their relationship to themselves? Is it helping people scale their business? Is it helping people with their healing, with overcoming trauma, with healing their inner child? Like, what is it? Choose something, okay? And listen, it can be a mix, right? Because I have a mix of things in mind, but it really has to come back to a core identity and a core theme that kind of connects it all together. Otherwise, it's so easy to get diluted, right? And this is the thing, niche creates an identity. And when you have a clear identity, it creates true authority because you are seen for that thing. That creates brand, right? The authority that you create, the brand authority that you create, that is what is going to create more demand for you. So this is why niching is important. And for all you spiritual baddies that are in this stage, listen, if I could have built business purely on energy or spirit, great. But like I said, I'm practical, I'm a realist. And you would be very naive to think that you can create a successful business, manifest money, clients, whatever it is, purely in, let's say, the 5D, right? You need a business. You need a physical energy entity as a business. You need actual business skills if you're creating a business. You need logistics. You need systems. You need things like booking systems like Calendly. You need payment systems. How can clients pay? You need you need payment links, Stripe, PayPal. You need policies. You need scheduling tools. You need terms and agreements for clients. You need follow-up protocols. You need emails. You need marketing. You need the actual 3D systems in place that are going to support the vessel that is your business for the channel of your gifts to come through. You can't have one without the other, right? So this is again why you need to invest in business skills. You need to invest in infrastructure. Or, if you don't want to do it yourself, you need to pay someone to be able to do it for you. It's a really important part, right? Because you can't have a business without being held in that container. It really, like, you're working with your 5D gifts, you're working with your spiritual and soul gifts, and you're channeling them down, but you need a 3D container for it. Has to work coincide, has to work coherently together, right? The strategy, the systems, and the energy, the gift, spirit has to work and coincide together, And this is really like taking everything into the next step of like spiritual maturity, okay? Because again, if you're here to do this professionally, you need all of these things that I've just mentioned, and you also need to learn the art of detachment. Okay, so what do I mean by that? You cannot take anything personally. You need to learn to detach from so much when you step into this work. Because again, not all of your sessions are going to be perfect. Not every client's going to resonate. Not every offer you put out is going to sell. Not every post you make is going to convert. Your business as a spiritual business, as a soul-led business, is going to have cycles, right? It's going to have ups and downs. It's going to have highs and lows. It's going to have voids. It's going to have integration periods. It's going to have so many things, right? So mastering the art of detachment is going to be the key to your success, and probably also the key to your sanity. And it's just about learning, right? Just refining what's working, what's not, and just keep going, right? Keep going is like the biggest piece of support I can give you. And listen, this is the thing, if business was easy, then every single person would be doing it, and they're not, okay? And I know detachment is easier said than done, like how to detach on the outcome or the results that you want for your business. But as I said, if you have a spiritual business, then you're gonna be going through cycles of constant evolution. And that, some things, it's not always gonna be sunshine and roses, right? You're not probably gonna make money at the start, or a lot of money at the start. I mean, you might, but like, you have to be a realist. You have to have both feet in spirit and on the ground, right? Having a spiritual business, you are going to bring up all of your own wounds, right? Your trauma, your elements of safety, your elements of security, your elements of self-worth. But it's meant to. Because if you are here to use your spiritual gifts to help humanity, to shift the level of consciousness like you know you're meant to, because a business is just a pure vessel for that, right? You have incarnated to do this, otherwise you would not be called to do this, you would not be listening to this right now. It's going to bring up all of your stuff because it's for healing, it's for evolution, it's for shifting your frequency and vibration, and you can't take all of those old wounds that you're carrying with you. And business is going to do that. So again, the more that you can work through that, the more that you can detach, the smoother the ride is going to be. Trust me. So in closing, before my throat closes up, this has been a long one. If you want to get paid doing this work as a psychic, a medium, a healer, an intuitive coach, a spiritual teacher, then you need to remember this, okay? Listen closely. Your natural gifts and abilities, the thing that you're drawn to, the thing that you love, the thing that lights you up, that is your gift, and that is going to open the door for you. The skills that you learn along the way by refining, by repetition, by investing, by learning. Your skill is what's going to keep that door open for you. And it's your professionalism that's going to build the business. You know, your business isn't going to be built because you're spiritual or you have a gift. Your business is going to be built because you solve real problems for real people. And that is what's going to create the demand for you. That is what's going to create trust. That's going to create income. That's going to create the impact that you are here to create. So if you already know that you're meant to do this, if you're like, I know I'm good, I know this is going to be part of my path, then you really need to understand what stage you're at. Are you at the development stage, the awakening stage, the refinement stage? Are you already have a spiritual business? Are you ready to go pro? You need to understand what skill you need to develop next. You need to refine that. Then you need to understand the offer. But really, you need to really focus on the skill. That's the key for you right now, right? Because most of you that are going to be listening to this, you're going to be at the skill refinement stage. Because money follows the skill. What skills do you have, or what skills do you need to develop for money to follow, for you to build a successful business and brand in? And if this episode has landed for you, and you know someone else that is building on their spiritual path, send them this episode. And if you're in the space where your gifts are open, you know you need refinement, you know you need accuracy, you know you need confidence, practice, delivery. You're at that place where you're like, I see the gap. I see the skill gap before I can actually take this to a business, before I take this to the next level. Then that's what the reading room is for. This is where gifted intuitives become skilled readers. And if you're still at the foundations, if you're opening your gifts more deeply, if you're trying to understand your energy, if you want to understand to develop your clairs, your channeling abilities, your connection to spirit, so that you can actually step and do this professionally, this is where the Rebel Psychic School, this is where we build the full psychic skill set from the beginning. And if you're ready to start your spiritual business, if you already have a business and you're ready to scale or scale even further, then my private coaching, The Path, is where you turn those skills into your actual soul purpose and your prosperity. So I'll link all of these in the show notes below, and I will see you beautiful creatures in the next episode.